was my best start of the season. I'm pretty sure that some of the guys on the team, there's their best start of the season. I think that we're just enjoying every moment that we have with one another and getting a chance to continuously get better. I think that's the innocence in terms of our team now that we have, and we understand that we have each other's backs out there, and we're going to continue to battle.
Kyrie looks happy. That's all I'm going to say. As well he should be. How much credit does Kyrie deserve for the Celtics' recent win streak?
Well, if I'm going to be very precise, Kyrie deserves a ton of credit that they have a 13-game win streak, because without Kyrie, it would be a 4-game win streak at best, because they had a 3-game point win against Atlanta where Kyrie was extraordinary. They absolutely would have lost that game without him. So for specifically the fact that they've won 13 straight rather than 10 of 13 or 11 of 13, Kyrie, along with Al Horford and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, deserve a lot of credit. But maybe this is exactly what Kyrie wanted, to get, instead of maybe getting a disproportionate amount of credit in the wrong direction, like less credit than he should have with the Cavs because everything's so centered around LeBron, now he can get a disproportionate amount of credit in the good direction. Because Kyrie has not been the best player on the Celtics. Kyrie has not been as good of a player as he was last year. Kyrie this year is averaging fewer points, rebounds, assists, worse field goal percentage, worse three-point percentage, worse PER, worse true shooting percentage. By every available metric, Kyrie's been worse than he was last year. But he gets to be the marquee guy on a team that right now is extraordinary. Like, the Celtics are playing great basketball. They are the best defense in the league by a wide margin. And so everyone on the team gets credit. But the Celtics start isn't the story of Kyrie Irving. To me, the Celtics start is the story of Brad Stevens, a guy who was trying to encroach on Greg Popovich's corner for best coach in the NBA, a corner Popovich has been on for over a decade straight. Like, that's the story to me of this season, is the job Brad Stevens has done with young players and with a team that has so many new players, CC, and they're playing well together. I mean, Kyrie's been a part of it, but not the main part of it.
Yes, but when you have an organization, typically it starts from the top. Boston, what have they been doing the last couple of years? Stockpiling these picks to try to get a player, all right? And Danny Ainge was able to do that. He delivered on Kyrie. But also, before that, he was able to grab a great young coach in Brad Stevens, convince him to come to a Celtics organization that wasn't really talented, all right? They were not competing for championships, but to convince him to leave that environment that he was in. I mean, because he could have stayed there for 20 years and stay in college basketball, be a dominant program, a big fish in a small pond. He decides to take his talent to the NBA, which was a huge risk. He is one of the better coaches in the NBA, but for us, a big fish in a small pond. He decides to take his talent to the NBA, which was a huge risk. He is one of the better coaches in the NBA, but for us to mention him in the same breath as Pop, that's a few years away. And I will keep that before we have that conversation. He hadn't proven himself in the playoffs. He hadn't proven himself with injuries. How would he change his lineup? We haven't seen him as a huge underdog.
Well, the injuries thing, I feel like the adjustment after Gordon Hayward, the instant adjustment.
They're talented.
They are playing above
all those
talent
players
level.
were on the roster. It wasn't like Brad did something to the guy shattered his ankle, his leg, and then he had other talented players, Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Those guys have stepped up. Their games were ready to emerge. They have benefited from Gordon being hurt. So the Celtics have done an amazing job. I think it'd be easy to give Kyrie credit, but the other guys, they were ready to. Tatum was ready for the NBA. Jaylen Brown, he was going to have a good year even if Kyrie wasn't there. He can shoot now.
I give Jaylen Brown, I give Brad Stevens credit, a lot of credit for, not all the credit, not even most of the credit, but a lot of credit for Jaylen Brown's progression, for Jason Tatum being put in position to succeed as a rookie.
I don't give a coach credit for a guy putting hours into the gym and learning how to shoot. All right?
Sure.
I mean, this is not like the coach is sitting there. He has taken upon himself. All right? He was a great athlete. one-dimensional, a defensive player, could play above the rim, very athletic, but now he's added an intermediate shot and a three-point shot. So I'm not going to say, oh, the coach is responsible for that. No, he took his game and developed his game. He should get credit for that.
Kyrie's in a very familiar position right now because he played second fiddle when he was in Cleveland, and it always seems like, I think as soon as Gordon Hayward went down, the Celtics started playing, even though they already were, second fiddle to the Cavaliers as well. And I think it's a position they love to be in. I think that as soon as Gordon Hayward went down, everyone said, what does it mean for the season? Are they not the second or third or fourth favorites now in the East? And I think they were just fine with that. And they were fine to keep expectations low and let's just go out and play. Let's just go out and play basketball now. And they picked this third guy, Jason Tatum. Two guys ahead of him. He's doing great.
He's doing great.
Best defense in the league. They ran out 13 straight wins. He may not be doing as well as you'd like him doing, but Kyrie Irving is still quietly
he's still
putting
a good
together
player.
solid games every single night, even with a broken face.
Go ahead, Cecil.
The numbers speak to what Nick is saying. Like, it's not, a lot of times we try to add stuff to it. Like, he is a great player that joined a collection of young players who are playing well. And also, they're playing in an NBA right now that's not really strong. So how good are the Celtics? Like, we don't know. We know the East is weak.
Right.
There's only two teams in the West, Houston and Golden State, that are really setting themselves apart from everyone else. Right now, people are trying to find themselves. There's more, I would say, undetermined success in the NBA right now as far as teams than any other time I remember. Like, this is a league in transition.
I want to make this clear because people in Boston get so mad at me. First of all, and I put this on Twitter yesterday, and I'm going to say it now to the camera, it appears I was way wrong on Jason Tatum. I thought the Celtics turned the #1 pick of the draft, which is what they had, into the 5th best player in the draft. He right now looks like he was the best player in that draft. Now, we'll see when Fultz comes back from his injury. We'll see how ball progresses. But Tatum has been outstanding. If not for Ben Simmons, he's your leading candidate for Rookie of the Year along with the kid in Dennis Smith in Dallas. Pardon me. So I want to make that clear. I just think the Kyrie stuff, if we were to take the name away and say a multi-time All-Star, change teams to be the face of a franchise, and he's giving you 20 points, 5 assists on 44% shooting, you would say, okay, I mean, he's been fine, but maybe not. And when last year he gave you 25 points a game on 48% shooting. So I just don't want us to give a disproportionate amount of credit to Kyrie when he can play better than he's been playing, flatly. And we saw the Celtics in 2 games without him play really well.
If Isaiah Thomas was healthy and the Celtics had traded for Gordon Hayward, the Celtics would still be the best team in the East. They would still be very, very good. Would they have won 13 in a row? No one can predict that. But Isaiah, Kyrie, that trade right there, Boston, they're really talented. They got more talent than they've had there since they've had Pierce, Garnett, and that crew. So I expect them to win. I expect them to have the best record in the East at the end of the regular season.
So just to recap, you don't want to give Kyrie too much credit, and you don't want to give Brad Stevens too much credit.
So,
well, I mean, he compared him to Popovich.
I said he's encroaching on his corner.
Coming up, which one team is standing
he's in another
between? I'm not giving anyone credit except maybe.